Brands being kicked off from Vendor Central are probably freaking out right now because they've known nothing else but Vendor Central. One piece of good news came across my desk this morning. One of the brands that I work with at my Amazon guy told me that they actually got a dedicated rep for the transition. So if you're a vendor brand right now and you haven't been given this invitation or maybe you missed it, I highly recommend you check this out. When the brand met with the dedicated rep, they went through a bunch of information about the transition over to Seller Central. And typically, we hear complaints nonstop about Amazon and how seller support is useless and all of the policies they throw at you, but never anything helpful. This was a glaring exception to that experience. And so when they reached out with the dedicated support, the vendor account was being terminated. They set the call up to help them transition from vendor over to Seller Central. And it also came with a bonus of having that dedicated rep for 6 months during that transition. Now, typically, I don't really think a rep is valuable in general. So, a SaaS program or the dedicated Amazon programs that charge you money, I'm not really a big fan of them. I'm biased to say that because technically I compete with them in a way, right? Like they're not actually doing any work on your account per se, but they solve catalog and support tickets, which Mag does exclusively as well. But having said that, they're like glorified ticket masters. And nobody likes Ticketmaster, right? Anyway, so I'm not a fan of reps, but this was a good view into how Amazon is trying to help the terminated brands. Now, I can only speculate why the brands were terminated. It could be, that Vendor Central is dying. I've kind of long thought that. Honestly, I thought the purge was overdue. I think Seller Central is better anyway. But having said that, I haven't seen the portals merge yet or anything like that. The rep was in the United States, I might add. So, you get a little bit of cultural benefit there, especially if you're a U.S. seller. The rep was defined as extremely knowledgeable. They knew how brand registrations worked and how to make sure that that's connected appropriately over to the Seller Central account. They took time to review the product listings. They offered to do a catalog download and that they could return the Excel file back to the rep with any changes that they wanted submitted from the vendor catalog side. That's huge. I can't emphasize enough how big that is because once vendor has submitted data, Seller Central has an excruciating, painful time overwriting it. Like a brand registry ticket suffers, a seller support ticket suffers. Even a Vendor Central ticket usually doesn't do the trick until you bang your head against a brick wall and bang it down somehow. But the ability to control data during a transition like this, it's the opposite of Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana, where the government said they were going to help and then didn't do anything. Right? This is the opposite experience where Amazon is trying to help. They're offering legitimate avenues, and I was impressed by the analysis that the brand gave me a report on, which was pretty cool. So not only do they get how. And the other thing that they told me is that they actually screen shared, and I don't know if Amazon's allowed to do this, so hopefully they don't get in trouble, but they showed the back-end view of like how their brand looks to the rep on the other side. I've never heard about that before. And so they could see like how it was linked, how, what the health looked like, all the data, so they could, and then they offered that export of the actual catalog data. So I suspect they had all the permissions to do all of this to help during the transition, because there's a lot of loose ends, a lot of questions, and whether Amazon was maybe Amazon wasn't making money on these accounts. Maybe there's a threshold that they're looking for now. Maybe that's the categories are inundated. A lot of reasons why Vendor Central might have terminated these accounts. So the benefits of being able to have that rep during the transition, to be able to talk through problems, the transparency, which is completely unheard of coming out of Amazon. They were really pleased with it. And I got to say, it's one of those rare instances of Amazon actually providing helpful service. You never hear these stories. You never hear them because once you have one of these experiences, you hoard it. And you don't want to tell anybody how you got it because you don't want it to go away. But I think this one's probably going to stay, and that brand's going to benefit for the next 6 months. So my name is Stephen Pope. I'm the founder of My Amazon Guy. I help brands like yours deal with transitions like this and other Amazon problems If you need support, make sure you check out my thousands of videos on troubleshooting any Amazon catalog problem. And if you want to hire us, check us out at myamazonguy.com. I've worked with brands like Nestle, Honeywell, Chirp, Death Wish Coffee, Allen, Chinook Cedary, Rare Beauty Brands, Rough Liners, which is a brand new brand that we turned from zero to multi-million, which is cool. Nisalo, Heavenly Hunks, and Rebel Nail. All right, so check us out, myamazonguy.com. We'll see you later.